Hi, I'm Jarrad Brown, Australian expat financial planner based here on this little red dot of Singapore. Thank you for tuning into my video today. These videos are all about tackling some of the tough personal finance questions for Aussie expats in Singapore and all over the world, and shedding a bit of light, a bit of insight into what life is like here in Singapore for an Australian expat like myself. Today, what I'd like to share with you is something a little off our usual topics, but still related, and that is just how much is Singapore life really like the Crazy Rich Asians movie, and what can we actually learn from that film. So I hope you find this insightful. I hope you find it a little bit entertaining. Let's dive right in. So let's start with how is Singapore accurately reflected in the movie? Well, first off, yes, every day you will typically see a Lamborghini, Ferrari, McLaren, and Bentley all in the same day. Yes, these cars are very expensive here. An entry-level Lamborghini is going to set you back around $800,000. For those Australian expats who are not quite sure, that's roughly on parity with the Aussie dollar, meaning that's also 800,000 Australian dollars. That's before you pay for your permit to actually get that car on the road here, which is going to set you back anywhere from $50,000 to $100,000, depending on the price in that particular year. You're looking at an entry-level Bentley, well, that's going to be a bit closer to the $1 million price tag. So yes, these cars are expensive, but yes, there are plenty of them around. Now, what about property? In the movie, we saw these outlandish properties with ridiculously high price tags, and yes, that is real. A quick search on Property Guru this week, one of the more prominent property websites here, reveals that there were around 16 properties currently for sale with a price tag north of $100 million. And 3 of them were priced between $348 and $399 million. Now, these are not just every property. Naturally, these are just the ones for sale. So you can imagine how many properties there are here with very high price tags. Now, yes, this is at the luxury end, but for your average 500 square meter block, 4-bedroom, 2-bathroom house that many of us would have grown up in Australia, well, that's going to set you back anywhere from $5 to $15 million. There's not going to be a lot of change left over from that. So yes, property prices here can be very, very high. Most expats who are living here in a condo, in a unit, to buy that condo or unit, again, is going to be anywhere from $2 to $10 million, depending on the size, depending on the area. So a little bit different to life in Australia, and yes, probably accurately depicted in the movie. The next one is the dining options. We see some very expensive restaurants and very expensive different food, different wine consumed in the movie. And yes, again, it is possible to go out and easily spend thousands of dollars on a meal here in Singapore. However, it is also important to recognize and reflect that it is also possible to go out and spend $3 or $4 on quite a nice meal here also. And finally, the luxury brands. Yes, they are in Singapore. A quick stroll down Orchard Road or through Marina Bay Sands, or in many of the expat hubs and destinations here in Singapore, you will find all of the luxury brands that you're familiar with. The Gucci, the Dolce & Gabbana, the LV, etc. Yes, they are all there. Yes, people are shopping in them. Obviously, otherwise they wouldn't be there. And yes, they carry very high price tags. So while it's important to note that there's an abundance of wealth here, and that is certainly reflected in the movie, it's important to recognize that there are certainly a large number of other people here in Singapore living at the other end of the spectrum. A local house, an HDB flat, so the local housing here, might set you back anywhere from $300,000 to $500,000. There are certainly those with higher price tags now. Prices are certainly starting to creep up, but certainly a far cry from the $399 million property that's also currently for sale. It's also possible to go out and get your $2.50, your $3 chicken rice here in Singapore. So it's important to note that not everyone here is living at this extreme end of uber wealth here. There is certainly the other end of the spectrum as well, and it's very important to recognise that that is a huge part of life here in Singapore also. So aside from just how accurate or inaccurate the movie actually is, what can we learn about our personal finances? What are some of the key lessons, the key takeaways that we can draw from this movie? What I've outlined for you are some of the common lessons that I think we take away, and I hope you find some assistance or some benefit from learning them too. The first is to stay humble. Set your goals, celebrate your successes, but stay humble. One of the most beloved characters in the movie is Nick. Nick is the partner of Rachel, and Rachel has no idea just how wealthy Nick is until they actually return to Singapore and learn that his family is one of the most wealthy families here on the island. She has no idea. And that really is why Nick is one of the most beloved characters through the entire film. He stays humble, irrespective of just how much wealth and success he and his family have actually achieved over time. The second key lesson, the second key takeaway here is to really appreciate that compounding really is the eighth wonder of the world. Where is most of Nick's family's wealth? It is in their extremely outlandish, high-value properties. And these are properties that the family's had for many, many decades. Growth has compounded over time, and naturally that has worked its wonders. It's not just a simple quick investment or a day trade or anything speculative. It's something they've held for a long time and each year generated a consistent return that has continued to compound over time. So certainly a common lesson that we can take away when it comes to investing, but an important one that is often overlooked. The third and final lesson that I want to share with you today from the movie is to avoid keeping up with the Joneses, or whatever the surname may be to make this saying relevant to you. There's a popular character in the movie who I believe is Nick's cousin, Eddie Chen, who most times you actually see him in the movie, he's posing with his family to try and portray this vision of being exceptionally wealthy. Extreme wealth, extreme class, trying to create this unreal perception when obviously Nick's family is far wealthier. So what is the key message? The key message is to stay in your own lane. There's always going to be someone with a bigger house, a bigger boat, a more expensive car, a more expensive watch, whatever it may be. Celebrate your own successes, stick to your own goals, and stay in your own lane. I hope you find this discussion of the movie and sort of how we relate it to personal finance helpful. If you have anything to add, anything else you drew from the movie, drop a note in the comments. I'd love to hear from you. Really appreciate you tuning in. Don't forget to subscribe, and I look forward to seeing you next time.